Hello everyone, today we'll be talking about a fantasy film called Dragon Wars. Be ready for some spoilers ahead. Every 500 years, a woman is born with the spiritual energy to transform a serpent into a celestial dragon. The creature that possesses this power can determine humanity's fate by either destroying or saving the world. Somewhere in the city of Los Angeles, the police are examining the sudden appearance of a giant trail, seemingly caused by a large creature. Ethan is a reporter who's also here to investigate the situation, but the government agents refuse to answer any questions and tells him to leave immediately. However, the man notices something strange as he looks into the field and sees what appears to be a piece of scale buried inside the ground. Apparently, Ethan has seen this before when he was a child, and he begins recollecting the memories as he stares into a strange medallion that he wears. 15 years ago, Ethan went to a local antique store, accompanying his father as the man tries to sell a blade to the store owner named Jack. The boy looks through the items and sees a mysterious box unlocking itself after sensing his presence. The box opens and reveals a giant piece of scale that emanates an aura towards the boy. The store owner perceives this and begins having a heart attack, but when the father tries to call the ambulance, Jack tells the man to buy a medicine from the neighboring shop instead. Ethan's father tells the boy to look after the old man and runs off quickly, but it turns out that Jack faked everything in order to speak to the boy alone. He tells Ethan that there are giant serpents called imugis that live in the heavens, and every 500 years, one of the serpents is awarded for its good deeds and turned into a celestial dragon. For this to occur, the creature needs a magical object called the Yuiju, but the evil serpent Viraki and his followers have tried for a long time to steal this item. 5 centuries ago, the heaven decided to hide the Yuiju by sending it to a city in Korea and guarded by its best warriors Haram and his master Buchan. But the evil serpent also knew the location of this magical item and plans to steal it one day. The local lord's wife gave birth to a girl named Naren, and the one destined to be the holder of the Yuiju with a giant birthmark on her shoulder. When the girl becomes 20 years of age, the Yuiju would form inside her, and the evil serpent would appear once again. Naren soon becomes a beautiful woman, and she begins falling in love with Haram, who shares the affection as well. The master shows Haram the good imugi, who's destined to become a celestial dragon, and the young man looks at the giant creature in shock as it swims inside the waters. Buchan also gives the man the medallion that only the protector of Yuiju wears, which can protect him from harm if his life is in danger. Eventually, the evil serpent brings all its followers to the village in search for the girl, and the army begins shooting numerous bombs at the people, causing tremendous damage. They charge at the city and kills all the men one by one, as the people are no match for their dragons and magic. They capture all the women and looks through every one of them, trying to find the girl with the giant birthmark on her shoulder. The army soon arrives at the lord's house and kills Naren's father in front of her, causing the girl to run out and mourn for her dying parents. The soldier rips open her clothing, discovering her true identity, and forcefully takes her away from her home. Luckily, the master flies in and fights the army with his magic, giving Haram the chance to save the girl. The two run into hiding, and the man tells Naren the truth about her destiny. The master manages to escape the fight after being wounded, but finds the medallion on the ground with his pupil nowhere in sight. Haram tries to run away with Naren instead of bringing her to the good imugi, and the evil serpent Viraki chases them closely behind. The creature corners them on a cliff, and the two decide to jump and fall into the oceans, killing themselves in the process. The store owner gives Ethan the protector's medallion and reveals that he's actually the reincarnation of Buchan, and the boy used to be Haram, the warrior that he raised. This is their second chance in fulfilling the prophecy, and the boy must find a girl named Sarah who also has the giant birthmark and bring her to the Grand Cave. After remembering the girl's name, Ethan goes to his friend Bruce and tells him to find the girl, as she's likely to be related to the giant trails. But the friend tells Ethan that they need more details, as there are probably thousands of women in the city with the same name. Meanwhile, Sarah sees the news on TV about the gigantic landmarks and suddenly becomes wary about her safety, running home even without saying goodbye to her friend. She's clearly subconsciously aware of this danger and tries her best to protect herself by looking through a book about ancient prophecies. Her friend Brandy goes to her home and is shocked to see that Sarah has put up numerous paper talismans in the house to ward off evil. The girl tries to comfort Sarah and tells her that she's only imagining the danger. But this doesn't help at all, as she can't shake the instinctual fear inside her heart. Sarah's worry turns out to be valid as the giant serpent has appeared in the city looking for the Yuichu, destroying everything on its path. The girl begins having nightmares and waking up at night. She feels an intense pain coming from her birthmark and calls the ambulance to take her to the hospital. Brandy tries to look for her friend after finding out that Sarah was hospitalized, but the nurse refuses to let her visit right now as they pass the visiting hours. With no other choice, Brandy goes to Sarah's house to pack some clothing for her friend, but suddenly feels the ground shaking from the outside. The girl runs out of the house only to see the giant serpent in front of her and screams in fear. But Rocky bites her before she can escape and tosses her into the pool, leaving her to die. The next day, Ethan receives the report that a woman was killed inside a house by what the neighbors claim to be a giant snake. He immediately heads towards the location, fearing that Sarah may have died already. When he arrives at the scene, he realizes that the girl is not the one he was looking for, and learns from the neighbor that Sarah was taken to a hospital before the attack. He rushes towards the location to find the girl, but is stopped at the front desk, who tells him that Sarah was put into quarantine for a wound on her shoulder that may cause infections. Ethan tries to look for another way in, and meets a doctor who's a big fan of the news reporter and helps him find the girl right away. He sees the woman sitting on the bed and tells her that he believes in the danger that she's feeling, and explains that they must leave this place as the monster is nearby. Suddenly, they feel the whole building shake violently as the giant serpent has tracked them to the hospital already. The doctor rushes in and tells the two to leave right away as they're in great danger. Ethan takes the girl towards the exit as the doctor slowly transforms into Jack, who was watching over them from the very beginning. They run to the car driven by Bruce, and the man hits the gas pedal right away after seeing the monster appear in the garage, chasing after them as it destroys everything in sight. They rush out of the hospital and manages to escape quickly as the creature charges out one step behind and roars in frustration towards his prey. Before they can catch their breath, Bruce hits someone with the car and stops immediately. But it turns out that the man is a servant of Baraki and plans to take Sarah back to his master. The two tries everything they can to stop the general, but their attacks are useless against the man's armor. Luckily, the man was hit by a car before the girl was taken, and the driver takes them away quickly from danger. The woman drops off the two after confirming that they're not hurt, and begins transforming back into Jack, showing that the old man continues to help them in their perilous journey. Sarah is confused about everything that's happening, and questions the visions that she keeps on seeing in her dreams, doubting her own sanity. In order to find out about the truth behind her past, Ethan suggests that they go to a psychology professor of his who specializes in extracting repressed memories. He promises to keep her safe as they share a kiss on the beach, but Ethan realizes that her destiny is to die if she's really the holder of the Yuichu. On the other side, the continuous attacks in the city has caught the government's attention, and they begin to suspect that Sarah is somehow responsible for the monster's appearance. The mission leader realizes that they may have to terminate the girl if they're not able to contain the situation, as the creature seems to be looking for her. At the same time, Baraki's general begins summoning more of the serpent's followers and monsters into the world using numerous ancient scrolls, and they prepare to take Sarah by any means necessary. The government manages to track down the location of the giant serpent and sends an army of special forces to terminate the beast. They head inside the cave of the monster and sees the enormous creature appearing in front of them. The soldiers quickly retreat in fear and begin shooting at Baraki, but their attacks are useless as they continue to run from the monster. However, the serpent's army arrives on the other side and forces the soldiers into a corner. The general summons his magic towards the man and destroys them in a single attack. Meanwhile, Ethan's professor is trying to extract the suppressed memories from Sarah's mind, and eventually, the girl begins seeing her childhood and then further into her past life as well. Her spiritual power begins awakening as her memories return, surrounding her in glowing lights as Ethan watches in amazement. Sarah recovers from the experience, but her powers have also alerted Baraki to their location, forcing them to run immediately away from the house. The two drives away quickly as the giant snake destroys the house and chases them close behind, tearing up the entire street in the process. Luckily, they manage to lose the monster in the residential areas, and Ethan calls his friend to arrange a helicopter as he realizes that they can no longer be safe on the ground. They meet up with Bruce in a restaurant, who gives them supplies and tells them that the helicopter is on top of the news building. But the giant serpent manages to locate them once again and begins destroying the entire building to capture the girl. They run quickly away from the building as the monster chases them from behind. Before they can be captured, the police officers fire at the giant creature and distract it long enough for them to escape temporarily. They continue running towards the news building as the monster chases after them, destroying everything on its path and sending cars flying in the air. The people in the city panic and runs in fear while the creature causes numerous explosions, resulting in tremendous damage in the area. The two runs inside the news building and eventually makes it to the rooftop where the helicopter is waiting for them. But the creature has noticed their whereabouts and begins climbing to the roof as well. The helicopter tries to take off, but the serpent launches and grabs onto the aircraft, forcing Ethan to jump out with Sarah before it smashes the carrier through the air and onto the ground. Dark clouds begin covering the sky as Baraki roars in victory and stares directly at the couple, planning to devour them to acquire the power of the heavens. Luckily, they're saved when the US military arrives and begins shooting furiously at the creature with a barrage of missiles and bullets, giving them the chance to escape from the building. The serpent tries to fight back and destroys multiple choppers, but the army's combined firepower manages to knock down the giant beast and sends it tumbling to the ground. They continue to shoot relentlessly as the creature screams in pain, but what they don't realize is that an army of dragon is approaching quickly to the city. The monsters attack the choppers by shooting out multiple fireballs, causing huge explosions as the aircrafts are forced to retreat. The ground troops of the monsters arrive as well and begins launching numerous bombs at the police, causing explosions to engulf the area. The military responds by mobilizing armored vehicles towards the creatures and its army of darkness led by the serpent's general. The two armies march closer towards each other and begins a massive battle as the monsters charge towards the US military. The tank fires at the army and begins killing the creatures, but the enemy also retaliates by shooting numerous bombs at the vehicles, causing tremendous damage. Meanwhile, Ethan manages to escape the building with Sarah, but they run into the government agents who claims to be here to help them and take them away from the chaos. The agents bring them to an underground facility, and the senior officer reveals that he knows about the ancient legend. He plans on killing the girl to end this madness, even if it means that the creatures will come back 500 years later. Before the man can fire the gun, the other agent shoots his partner as he realizes that in order to save humanity permanently, the girl must live. He gives them the car keys and tells Ethan to protect Sarah until they can change the fate of the world. Ethan drives the girl towards the borders and plans to escape into Mexico, but Sarah claims that their actions are useless because Baraki will track her down wherever she goes. Before they can finish their conversation, the dragons attack their car with fireballs, causing them to flip over and crash onto the road. Ethan slowly loses consciousness as the monsters begin surrounding them. When the main character wakes up, he realizes that he's tied up to a pole in the deserts, surrounded by the army of darkness. They bring the girl towards the altar and ties her up to the table, preparing her to be sacrificed to the evil serpent. The general and the army chant Baraki's name as they open the massive door, releasing the monster so that it may devour the girl. The giant serpent moves closer to the woman and towers over everyone, while Sarah screams in fear at the sight of this monstrosity. Ethan screams the woman's name hopelessly, which awakens the medallion on his chest, summoning the thunders from the heavens, which concentrates the energy into a large shockwave that stuns the entire army and turns them into dust. The giant serpent recovers from the explosion and attacks them with anger, knocking Ethan away from the girl. Before he can devour Sarah, another Imugi charges towards it and knocks it to the ground. It carries Baraki by its jaws and throws the monster away from the couple. The two giant monsters roar at each other, and Baraki launches towards the other Imugi, biting its neck and throwing the giant serpent onto the floor. Sarah realizes that she must fulfill her destiny, as it's the only way this whole thing can end. She walks towards the serpents and summons the Yuiju from her body into the sky. Baraki tries to grab the glowing orb, but Sarah sends it the other way and the good Imugi swallows the energy at this opportunity. The evil serpent sees this and begins attacking his foe, but the good Imugi transforms and sheds the skin on his body, finally turning into a celestial dragon. It screams furiously and grabs Baraki, slamming the serpent onto the ground. The monster recovers and begins attacking the dragon once more, but is no match for the celestial creature as it gets thrown to the floor once again. The dragon flies towards the sky and Baraki tries to grab onto its tail, causing both of them to launch into the air. The good Imugi turns around and strikes the serpent by its neck, tossing the monster downwards as it crashes into the ground. The dragon then charges a massive fireball and shoots it right inside Baraki's mouth, causing the serpent to burn from the inside and eventually turning to dust. The dragon flies back towards Ethan and spits out the Yuichu, which causes Sarah's body to evaporate into a glowing aura that fuses with the magical orb. The celestial dragon roars towards the heavens and grabs onto the Yuichu. It then launches towards the sky and slowly vanishes into the clouds as it sheds tears of sympathy for Ethan's loss. Jack appears behind the man and tells him that he did the right thing, before vanishing as well to the other world. Ethan says goodbye to his master and begins walking towards the desert into a new future that he's created for mankind. So what do you guys think about this movie? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like my video, please press like and subscribe for more. I'll see you guys next time.